Hello, everyone. Am I live? Are we live? I think I am live. I think I
It
am
says
live.
live.
We are live, right, Tina? I'm gonna
Yeah,
bring
it says
Tina
live
over.
at the top. 15 seconds in, yeah, you're live.
Yeah, okay, cool. We're live. I just wanted to say today the Queen would have been 99 years old. And anybody who's been following me knows how much I love the Queen. I'm a hardcore Queen lover. So So I'm not saying that she wasn't flawed, but I'm saying that a lady who lived a life well lived. He served everybody until she died, um, and she was always there for us. I think she was a very comforting figure for all of us. And I think respect is something you earn, not something that a position gives you automatically. I believe that a position or a title gives you access and privilege, but not respect. That's just my opinion. So today we're going to gossip a lot, but we're going to talk about the Queen's life a lot too. And I hope you guys are here. I want to thank you all for joining us. We're going to have some people popping in and out. So here are Tina and Manuela. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you
Hi.
guys?
Excellent. Excellent. How are you doing? Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Oh, no,
thank you.
thank you. No, today we're celebrating the Queen. The Queen. She would have been 99. Um, 99 years of age, wouldn't she?
Yep,
Yeah. Wow.
exactly.
It
So
was,
close.
yeah, it was something that I gotta tell you, it's kind of those people that you really miss,
Mm,
especially nowadays,
yeah. The,
you
th-
know.
the thing is with the Queen as well, we all knew how important she was, but since her passing, you realise how much she held together, i.e., the country, sort of people, connections, unity, and yeah, you realise just how much a remarkable woman she was. Now
And I
she's
wanna and I wanna say happy birthday to Claudia Salas, who is also one of my subs. There's her birthday. Happy birthday, Claudia. Let's wish Claudia happy birthday.
happy
Hello.
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Ah, yay, she's on my face. Thank you so very much, guys. So happy birthday. You're sharing a great birthday with somebody who was really, really great, you know? So
Yeah.
yay, yay. So how are you guys? I mean, what do you think of the Queen? I haven't asked you really what you thought of the Queen, Manuela, because, what do you think of the Queen? And then I'm going to ask Tina.
To me, the queen to me, I mean, she's been around since I've been alive, right? So she was like a mom. She was like a grandmother. She was on our money. She was in our schools. She was everywhere. So it was almost like I never really knew a time where the queen wasn't the queen.
Yeah.
And so, being Canadian, and my children actually went to Royal St. George's College, which is, again, royalty would come and visit once in a while when they do come to Canada. So it's always been part of our culture. And so having her gone, it's almost like losing a family member. She was the country's mom. She was the country's grandma too, as well. So, and you see her everywhere. You see her on your money. You see her on a stamp. You see her wherever you turn around. So you've got so many touch points where it affected our lives, and she was very pleasant. I mean, in some ways she was uneventful. She didn't really cause drama. She didn't really cause pain or strife to anybody. So she was a nice constant in our world, kind of. And that's how I saw her. I mean, I think that she had flaws. I think that, as a mother, she made certain calls that she had to do, but you never really understand that kind of duty or that kind of role that she had in power, and the decisions she had to make and what she missed out on.
Yeah.
And what do you think of for you?
For me, I think I echo what Manuela said. You know, the Queen you never knew anything other than the Queen, but echoing that, she was in reign with my grandparents, and my children knew of her, the Queen. So this is past generations, She's 70 plus year reign. She covered a lot. And I think the day we found out she had died, me and my husband were going to pick up our children, and the sadness, and my husband would always call Charles not my king, not the Queen, he calls him, sorry. Yeah, she was a consistent for me growing up. The Queen, the royal family, the monarchy, they were that stable and able. That she'd pop in on Christmas Day and do the Christmas Day speech, and that was when, in essence, you had your grandma around to have the Christmas dinner. As like she was a part of everyone's family, and it makes you realize just how embedded she was in the moment we lost her as well.
Yeah.
But also she was, like Manuela said, she wasn't really, she didn't get involved in a lot of drama, but she had she was very strong. She was a good reference. She was the OG, wasn't she? Feminism and all of that.
Yeah, she was.
Absolutely.
She really was. I mean, I think she made a lot of. I think she was very strong, but I also think that she was very wise. I
Yeah.
think she had a lot of patience or self control. I think she really played the long game very well.
Yes.
Um, and she was able to do so because I think she lived in a time where they didn't have social media and everything was so instant. So she
Yes.
just kept that same pace and that same grace kind of thing. So she
Yes.
was able to weather a lot of storms.
Mhm.
Whereas, and I also think that when she did things, it just seems right. I just think the other ones, when they do things, it's almost like they're playing a role. I don't know. I don't know how to say it properly, but for her, it's almost like that is her. I remember in at University of Toronto, I was taking a political science course, and the guy said, "What does the DG mean on our currency?" Right? And I, of course, said, "Damn good," right? And he's like, "No, it means de grazia," right? The Latin, by the grace of God. That was her position, right? And it's almost like I can subscribe to that, whereas I don't think I could subscribe to that for Charles.
No.
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 So that's a very different level, right? And they're really, and it's the same family, the same blood, but one seems legit, one seems, I don't know, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is not a Charles bashing. It's just that,
No.
with the Queen, I think that royalty, it's something that you should aspire to emulate, something that you should aspire. In the Queen, people say that she didn't do very much. She did quite a lot. I mean, she really rallied behind the scenes for Nelson Mandela, to be freed. As soon as he was freed, she took the Britannia yacht and went to see him. I remember all that because I'm that old, and then I remember, and she went to see Mandela, and I mean, it was unbelievable. She was an unbelievable figure. That she didn't abuse her position,
No.
but she exerted it for things that matter to her and that she thought were important. It's like and it would just be one little offhanded comment. I think I've given this example before, and apparently she loves those pipes, that they play.
The
What
bagpipes.
the bagpipes? Yeah, and there's apparently a school that they had the bagpipe school, right? So the queen, and apparently this minister of some sort of, they were having this gathering at the queen's castle, and she approached the minister of, he was in charge of like defense or something like that, but this school was also inside the military, right? So she had heard that they were going to shut it down, right? So she approached the guy, and the minister, and she goes, surely the bagpipe school is not going to get shut down, is it? And the guy said, because he gave an interview, like his mind was racing. It's like, absolutely not, Your Majesty. He didn't know what she was talking about because he hadn't even heard about it, because he said he was at a different level. But can you imagine the Queen, Her Majesty, the Queen had heard about it, and she was even much higher than he was, right? And then he said that the first thing he did when he went back, immediately he said, "Whatever school that it's there, you're not shutting it down. You were not shutting that school down." It's like it's a back. I think it was a bagpipe school or something like
Yeah.
that. It's just like traditions. Traditions were important to her. Christianity was very important to her. You knew where you stood with her. You knew her beliefs, and that is something that I feel that it's missing in this world. That there's so much ambivalence. Everybody wants to be popular. Everybody wants to be woke. Everybody wants, I hate, you know what word I hate? Inclusive. Why? Why can't we be proud of who we are? Why do we have to? I mean, and the thing is that I was deeply offended by Charles saying that in his Easter thing, that he said kindness of Islam and whatever of Judaism. Why can't the Christian people have that? Does it mean that we don't have
Individuality.
it?
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Does it mean that we don't have him because he had to quote to other faiths of having those values as though we lack them? I don't know. It was, to me, it was,
Well,
it's like,
you're not alone there in those thoughts. And we I feel like the Queen, the Christmas, I think she embedded the Christianity. She was the leader in essence. In to be honest with you, I think here is Charles to place himself out there as the leader almost of all faiths. Each and every faith have their own leader. The Queen was the leader in Christianity. She was our leader. This is your job. You're the head of the church. So focus on what you know and let other leaders lead their own religion. I can't quite, boggles my mind.
Yeah,
it's
I find it, I actually find it not right, because I think that I come from a mixed family. I have Muslim in the family as well. My husband is Iranian, right? And I'm a Roman
Yes.
Catholic. And so, we're very inclusive in that sense, right? But he also went to Catholic school, which is, and he's very respectful, and the whole family is very respectful. When we got married, I mean, his whole family knew the prayers and everything better than my own. Like, it was very interesting. Even the priests were saying they learned them. They really made an effort to participate. So I think that his legitimacy comes from the divine, therefore it's the church, technically. And for him
Yes.
to now say, well, I'm kind of like, you're not supposed to dismiss the other ones. Absolutely
No.
not. But when you have the most holy weekend, the most holy day, whatever it is, this is our high holiday.
It's
Why are we
sacred to
being
us.
shortchanged? We should be in
Yes.
the front of the line. It's very simple. They have theirs. Ours was that day. We don't have every single day a high holiday. People go out of their way to acknowledge other people's, fasts or celebrations. And I think this one is particular to us. It should have been
about us.
respected.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see
That's it.
anybody. I don't see anybody mentioning the Catholic or Christian faith during Hanukkah and stuff like that. I don't see any
No.
Jewish
No.
or
And
anybody in this family. It's like,
I would not expect them to either.
yeah.
I would not expect their faith, and that's what they believe in. That's what they're led by, and I've got no judgment across the board. I think if we understand different cultures, it makes us rich in understanding and learning. Our children also, when they go to school and they learn all kinds of religious aspects of life. But when we start to just focus on others in dilute Christianity with others, that then we're going to lose that richness and understanding and the values of Christianity as well, aren't you? Because people are going to start to feel, like you said, Manuela, shortchanged. Then they're going to start getting angry again, rather than these characters like King Charles who want to use it to virtual signal out.
The value of Judeo-Christian beliefs is so important to humanity. If it wasn't for Judeo-Christian values and systems and structure and education, a lot of what we do in a civilized world wouldn't happen. And this is why these other nations come to Judeo-Christian countries to populate or to migrate, to use the lack of a term. But that actually should mean that we should be stronger within our values, because it is the framework. It is how we conduct ourselves in a civilized society, and it is very inclusive and kind and fair. It's based on many, many positive things, and to throw it away and to just substitute it because this weekend this is how you feel kind of is a bit disappointing. And I just, I guess it's part of that turn the other cheek. We keep allowing, you keep changing the line in the sand. But I do think it's a shame that they do that. Especially someone like Charles. And I think it's Charles, like, he's picking what things he likes to believe in, what works for him, as opposed to the Queen. I think she had this framework, and she didn't choose. She did what was right.
Well, there's that famous expression where the Queen would ask herself in moments, isn't there, allegedly, what would the Queen do? This is not about what I would do, my emotions, my beliefs. This is what would the Queen do, based off what would the Queen do for her country, her people, what's the right thing for me. And I feel like Charles is all in his emotions in what he would like. But you
Yeah.
can't be this monarch of a country and fumble it all with your own beliefs. It's got to be, like you said, this stable and able, this framework in which, that's why the Queen held it for so long, and that's why when she come out to speak, her words, she will bring unity. It seems to me that all King Charles is doing by whapping it up in his own emotions, he's bringing divides. That's what I
Absolutely.
see. And that's the scariest thing. That's the saddest thing, because who are the people that are going to be affected by his words and that divide? It's the people on the street.
Yeah.
When you raise children, they say when you raise children, if you really want to raise happy children, you should have a lot that, like, you have boundaries and rules, right? Because people thrive with rules. And if you don't have them, and people can do whatever they want, you end up, people are confused because they don't really know what the boundaries are. They're too able to make their own decisions, and all of a sudden they can't make any decisions because there's too many options and too early. And I think this is what's happening here too. When you have certain rules and standards and people know, okay, this is how we, but right now it seems to be wishy-washy,
Yes.
and I think it's creating confusion.
And
Yeah.
then we're going to go down this direction. But then, as soon as there's a celebration within the UK, the monarchy, or across the Commonwealth, where normally those people will come out and stand in the whole thing of monarch in Christianity, where does that leave the people? The people that have just been, almost feel like they've been kicked in the gut
Yep.
by this sacred weekend just being diminished. Now all of a sudden, because of the traditions of the monarchy and it's confusing, right? So that leaves the people in no man's land. When we've got you lead by example, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So it
Yeah.
confuses the monarchy as well.
And I know this is gonna sound horrible, but I kind of miss. Sorry, shit. I kind of miss the grandeur, like the traditions. I loved seeing the queen come up with all the jewels. I know it sounds horrible, but
Of
I
course.
really do. It's like I want to see a queen. I don't want to see. This is one of the things that I criticize Catherine a little bit about, because you know what? You're a princess. Dress as such. And the thing for me is, like, I know people said that Princess Diana was very frivolous, but I think that she understood one thing, is that the fact that she dressed fabulously, she always looked beautiful. The press wanted to photograph her. So she used both things at the same time, because nobody wants to photograph a howdy dowdy person. You know what I mean? So she knew that the press was following her because of her fashion sense and everything. So she would say, okay, I know that you're going to follow me because I dress fabulously and I'm this and I'm a princess. But because she knew that. So she said, I'm going to use the fashion to bring these people in and highlight the causes at the same time, because people want to see a beautiful princess turn up, with her all gorgeous. I don't want to see a princess in jeans. I'm sorry. That's not for me. I love Princess Diana, like when she turned up to official engagements and everything, and she dressed up to the nines, and the people were proud because their princess looked beautiful. And of course, this is why she was the most photographed woman in the world. Yes, she used fashion as a weapon to highlight, or as a tool to highlight causes. It's like, I mean, I, it is something that I miss. The traditions. The queen knew, like you said, what would the queen do? And I think that the question that she was asking herself when she said, "What would the queen do?" is like, what is best for the country? What is the country expecting from their figurehead? Because she knew that in moments of crisis, people look to her. The buck
where you
stopped with her.
where you where you
Nobody
can't
looked to Charles. I don't look to Charles for anything.
but
I
you
mean,
can't help but think.
showing up in church with Andrew and Fergie. I don't understand it. I am sorry. I don't understand it, because I get it. And people, they justify it. Oh, it's a family. No, this is an event. This is a public event. This is the head of the church attending the church. And when the queen cut Andrew off, and he was her favorite, she didn't parade him in front of anybody as much as it hurt her, because she understood that that affected the monarchy. What the hell was Fergie doing there? And we know that Charles is not particularly a Christian person.
That's the
I
thing.
cannot, like, if they wanted to have Andrew and Fergie there, I know that Fergie's tight with Camilla, and I noticed that Princess Anne did not bow to Camilla, which I loved, or curtsy, whatever they want to call it. But the thing is that what was Fergie doing there? This is a woman who's been on welfare. When I looked at the only people worthy there were Princess Anne and the Duchess of Edinburgh. Other than that, the York girls, Fergie selling access, even the Queen, even though the Queen liked her, she didn't bring Fergie anywhere. You didn't see her in public with the royal family because she's not part of the royal family.
But I think as well, the Queen knew that that becomes confusing, and that
Yeah.
would navigate awkward headlines, which would essentially affect the royal family. And as we've seen since Harry and Meghan stepped out into, we've had a constant. It's so, I feel like I'm a devout monarchist, royalist. I've been, but I'm struggling to grip on right now, especially everywhere the UK is politically, and it's just hard. We've got a king who's meant to represent us. They've always been our national identity and backdrop, and it just seems to be, it's never been the same since the Queen passed.
No, it
No,
hasn't been the same because he doesn't have the same values or the same sense
No,
of duty or sense of occasion or sense of self-sacrifice and
yes,
direction. He doesn't really have that much strength.
no,
He seems to be very fractured himself, and I don't think we need a fractured
no,
family. We need, and when they do events, they should think about, this is a business function. This is what do they call themselves? The institution. So when they're
yes,
going to church or whatever, that is their public facing family. They shouldn't have, all this other stuff around. What they do in their backyard is one thing, but when they do as they're serving, they should really be mindful and respectful of who they're
yes,
serving.
yes.
and
You
I know
know,
that I don't know if you know this, but actually, William and Catherine spent they went to church in Sandringham, near where they were in a church. Nobody saw them, no fuss, no muss. They went with their children. They got out of the back church. People were there, but like it's very telling because I do believe. I know people saying, "Oh well, when Charles and Camilla uh, were um, were a couple, they didn't come to the Easter service. That's because the Queen, for many years, did not want Camilla around.
Mm,
That's the other part of the argument people don't understand, that for many years the Queen said Camilla could not be in my presence. She was not allowed near her. I remember for the wedding of the Duke of Westminster that the Queen attended,
yeah,
and Charles was angry because they sat Camilla way at the back because he would place people. He reminds me very much of Harry. He would place people in very awkward positions because the wedding was about the Duke of Westminster, the other Duke of Westminster, not the current one. Um, and he would make people uncomfortable because the Queen had made it known she didn't want Camilla around anywhere.
mm-hmm,
She
mm-hmm,
was not allowed near the palace. She was not near her presence. She was not allowed near the balcony. So she was not allowed anywhere near her. That's why for many years Camilla didn't come to those church ceremonies, because the Queen didn't want her around.
mm-hmm,
Because I know that some people have said, "Oh well, Camilla and Charles didn't go." Yeah, the Queen didn't want them there.
mm,
That's the other, and also Prince Philip didn't want her there. Prince Philip especially loathed the woman. So Prince Philip made it a point that he said he never wanted to be around Fergie, or or Camilla. He really despised Camilla. So
mm,
this is why you didn't see Fergie nor Camilla around in those things, in those events. So, but the fact that William cutting, I think we're seeing deeper rifts than what the people are letting on. Remember when the Sussexes separated from the Royal Foundation? Everybody's saying, "Oh no, it's just an office, it's this and that," and then it turned out that it was a deeper rift going on. There were already things, because now we know that William got himself his own lawyer from Buckingham Palace. Is not attending the Easter service. Instead, he chose to go with the Middletons, because I'm pretty sure that the Middletons were invited, but they chose not to go because they didn't want to be part of that shit show that Charles turned that church service into.
I agree. I think there's a lot going there. I think there could be a couple of things. I think maybe a security issue could be one, not having them all in one place. That could be one option. But I also think that him understanding that he's going to take over probably sooner rather than later, the
Yes.
dad's not doing too well. He needs to really create his structure and rules and the tradition and not have so much noise around him, because I think he was raised probably much more strictly under the mentorship of the queen. So
Yes.
he's probably going to be more like the queen than the dad is, because the dad is
Yes.
also going to be that, he did whatever he wanted. He was he did what our children will do to our parents. Like they defy us and they do whatever they want. Whereas I think the grandson, I think he's going to be a lot more institutional. I think he's going to be a lot more serious. And I think, and I think he's already made the sacrifices. His brother gets to live this crazy life, and yet he has to toe the line. He has to protect the family interests. He has to protect the countries that they represent. I mean, his job is big, and he doesn't want to blow it. I don't think. I think he's spent his time in service, and I think has a very different idea than his dad.
Not only is William's jobs big, but he's had to sacrifice so much already of his life. So you sort of go with a thing, then he's got to make it worth it. He has to succeed in this. He has to protect his grand's legacy. And I'm
Yeah.
with you, Manuela. I feel like the Queen was a massive structure in William's life, especially after losing Diana. In Charles rebellious against the parents, what have you. William, I believe, would have looked up to the Queen in her role, and I hope that when he takes. Also, I do think, because we know probably it's going to be sooner rather than later, and after everything they've been through with Catherine, they are just having a bit of chill time before they have to step into this full-on life.
You know what? I don't know. I just have a feeling that there's more to this.
Oh, I
Uh,
do believe
Oh, I
there's
think
more
so
going on
too. I
with
think
the
there's a
family. I think
security
there's.
issue. There's a lot of rumblings. I was reading the other night that there was a security issue because of the targets that they have on them because of the spare and what he's. So they don't want to keep the father and son even in the same location at this point. But who knows?
yeah, the thing is though that I looked is I was thinking about it because with the Queen, I know this is gonna sound stupid. My thumbnail is with love Elizabeth. I'm mocking Meghan. I was wondering if the Queen, from beyond the grave is laughing because of the shit show that Meghan, because that duck thing that she posted on her Instagram thing. I was laughing because, you see, she didn't spend Easter with Harry, from what I was told.
Hmm.
She didn't spend Easter. She doesn't spend time with the kids. Because the most normal thing, if you're walking around with your children and ducks are walking by, it's the children that get excited. Why is somebody, most likely Jake Rosenberg, her former lover, who's married, by the way, and
Hmm.
and he, at the beginning, they've known each other because if you look, she's gone back to the same relationships from before. Jake Rosenberg was apparently, allegedly, her lover for quite some time, one of the many. And I remember when she did the naked shoot, and they would send each other these flirty messages on Instagram and blah blah blah, right? And then now she's back with her, and it's like she's thinking, you know what? When I look at her Instagram account, it reminds me when she was married to Trevor, and
Hmm.
Trevor never was featured in her Instagram account. In fact, you would have never known that she was married to anybody. That because she seemed single, traveling, getting to know people. Even she told the hockey players that she was single, because I remember the tweet of the guy that said, Meghan Markle, I just found out you're still married. Like, no more long night conversations with you. And it feels the same ways that I feel like the Queen, this is her revenge in many ways. I don't know if revenge or justice is the same, but it's funny to see that Meghan Markle's life as an influencer, as a D-list influencer, who doesn't even know anything, or it's floundering. It's so embarrassing to watch.
Oh.
It's mind-boggling because I'm of the opinion that the royal family, obviously, they have a lot of intel. They have a lot of support. If they want to know something, they know it. There's really no secret that they won't know. I mean, they've
Yes.
got the capabilities. So the fact that she was allowed to infiltrate and do what she's doing, to me, shows that she's got something that, and she's positioned herself in a way. So they're letting her have this space, but it's not right, because I'm sure the queen knew this was all going to unfold this way, and nobody was. I don't know why they didn't listen. So that's the bigger question. What is it really going on? And I do think their escape, I think they were kicked out. I don't think they escaped anything. I think that there's a big something that's holding over their head, and this is what Meghan's playing with. I think this is exactly what she's doing. She's creating all of this because she knows she's protected by some piece, some photographs or
Yeah.
something. There's something going on that she feels that cocky and that able to do what she's doing, because this is a very powerful entity and it could crush anything because it has the history and the potential and the power and the contacts. So I don't understand. Like, it's just too much. There's another agenda that we're not seeing, that we don't fully understand.
I
I just
agree.
think that Meghan, I just think that Meghan, I don't think that she has anything big of the royal family. What I think it is that she's always, from her father's upbringing, has gotten whatever she wanted, and she has always been bailed out. She continues to be bailed out, right?
Yes.
So the same thing for Harry. What we're seeing, I just want to pause on something. Look at the Queen. That's what I expect to see
Yeah.
royalty. I want full on jewels. I want, well, not fur coats, but okay, the fur coats then were kick ass. But you know what I mean. But like that's what you want. When I show up, I want my queen or my princess or whoever to look like that. I want full on hair. I don't care if we're poor. Like I want to see them look
But
like
how
the queen.
are we going to lose that now, though? Are we going through the process of some? Like, this is always going to be a massive change when the Queen passed and it was handed over to a new monarch. In, like you said, with Catherine wearing the jeans and stuff. I
Yeah,
feel like that's that tradition, that shroud in which the people, I think that's dwindling in front of our eyes,
yeah,
As much as Harry and Meghan are carrying on doing this for whatever reason, it's almost taken away the magic, It's become like the poshest Jerry Springer show we've ever seen. And that's the power Harry and Meghan have over the monarchy. It's the fact that it's being played out into so any like inkling or belief or what you think knows go. We don't need to think anymore because Harry and Meghan are just doing this subliminal messaging. The royal family are pushed into a corner of all this woke ideology. Harry and Meghan have always already like decorate themselves, like I said before, in a technicolor dream coat of woke. So they're almost untouchable from that angle as well. So I do believe though, and I do hope. I've always said William wouldn't strip the titles. But I honestly believe, I'm starting to believe, with him stepping away and getting his own lawyers, with him starting to set up base for himself, I think it's a possibility now.
but I don't understand what is the big deal to have boundaries and rules. For example, Tina, I've been advocating for this for years. I've been saying that, and I even wanted you to start the petition, which is the parliamentary petition, which is basically to amend the Succession Act, which is only request to the UK Parliament to only citizens, only people born in the United Kingdom,
Mm.
living in the United Kingdom, can be in the line of succession, and to reinstate back the law that all royal births have to be witnessed, or that the documentation has to be presented mandatory, because the only one who hasn't presented is Rachel Meghan Markle with Harry, and we know all the mess that is going on around there. I mean, my channel is basically founded on this. You know that now there's everybody's is talking about that book. That Meghan Markle, the Pearl book, right?
Oh
That
my
she
God,
wrote
another. Yeah.
well, in 2021, guys. I did about three. I was going through them. I did three, or I found three so far videos where it said Netflix canceled Megan, Netflix when Pearl was canceled, because I reported in 2021 that there was already a show and that apparently Netflix had received a letter saying, hey, that is my show you're stealing, you know, and we're not stealing, but that is my show. And I remember nobody listened. They call me a fantasist. And you know what is worse? That the press knew since 2021 about this, and they just chose to publish it, which goes to show that the press sits on stuff like this for years, and they only put it out when they want to. Because when I talked about it back in 2021, when they canceled Pearl, I said, this is why they canceled Pearl, because there's already a show, and the author already wrote to Netflix because she was in talks in 2019 to produce Pearl, and because her books actually are very nice. And there's, I don't know if you've seen that. I don't, have you seen that, guys, about Miss Elliot?
Yeah,
I've heard
I've
about it.
seen
I've
the
heard
tribute.
about it about
I'll
her
show
book
you
and
who
everything.
she
Yeah.
is, and then you'll know a little bit. Um, it's what's call it? Uh, she was she was writing her books, and then she got so famous, not famous here. Let me show you here. So now everybody's talking about it, and it's funny because I talked about it in 2021, and people are going, I don't know why they were only bringing it up now, and I'm like, no, I brought it up back in. This is her. This is not the author. I'm gonna mute myself. This is she's been interviewed. Wait.
literature, and our local author is trying to change all that with a new book, Whole Power and the Girl with Two Mouths. I went from St Leonard's to Mel Elliott. So Mel, what inspired this new book?
I just wanted young children to realise that traditional one mum, one dad, and a nice family home isn't always the case for lots of children these days. And quite rightly, family setups are changing quite rapidly. Some kids have two dads, some kids have two mums, some kids have one mum and no dad. I just want all children to realise that the traditional method isn't always.
Yeah. I reported this in 2021, guys. I did 3 videos about this. I said that she had written to Netflix. I didn't know she had written to Megan, but I knew that she had written to Netflix, and I reported that in 2021. I don't know if those of you have been following me since 2020. No, because I remember I have. If you go and look Netflix and you go into my channels, you're gonna see Netflix canceled Megan. That's when they cancel, and the David Furnish thing with Elton John. And I said, I know that she wrote. What I did know is that she had written to Megan also, but of course Megan is never going to answer that. And I said, how can Megan be claiming that Pearl is her thing when there's already this lady here, and she's a cancer survivor. She had breast cancer, and I did a video about it. I my video that I did, I did a video about it, because how nasty do you have to be to steal an idea from a cancer survivor, and I wonder if she thought that the lady was gonna die, so she wouldn't. This is the video I did. If you
Oh
can't
my
go
God, that's funny.
now because it's here. Always stealing Megan plunge into new podcast scandal. And you know what the problem is? Is that Netflix knew, and instead of calling her out, they just simply dropped the project.
I don't know. I think a lot of times there's narratives that they're not allowed. I think people there's things where it's a timing issue, or it's an announcement issue, or there's backdoor agreements. Like, I think they try to keep things down and try to move on, and maybe they were trying to negotiate something, like they knew this was bad behavior and they were trying to protect her in a way, because they also have to protect their own family. They can't look like complete bumbling idiots, right? So I think sometimes things are pushed aside or moved over, or tried to squashed, and then now um, maybe more people are able to talk about it. It's almost like, the moon bump issue or different things that are happening. Those happen, but it's almost like gaslighting. It's people aren't ready, or this is not the right time, because other people who are controlling the media are not allowing those things to come through. It's being
Yes,
censored.
there is a lot of control in the media, but also when the whole Pearl thing happened, in say you're at Netflix and when you get this letter, we didn't see the full extent at that point of what Meghan Markle is, in how she will mimic and copy and duplicate. So maybe they just thought at that moment that was just a coincidence. We quashed that down. And I suppose for the media to be able to come out and speak about it now, like Manuela said, it's more acceptable because we see the barrage of all this in what Meghan's capable of doing as she repeats history over and over again now, you know. So now it's more easier for the reader to absorb, which makes it justifiable to bring that story out. Meghan will always be protected to a certain degree through the royal family and that title. It just, and like you said about me setting up a petition, Paula, I can't stress to you, in this country, especially now, it doesn't matter what any petition is requested, and I know on paper, on law, but in this country, that don't matter. We've got two-tier everything going on. There's just, like I said to you before, even coming on this, I'm scared on what I can and can't say, because the UK, and this is why my monarchist is struggling. How can I, when we, as people, we're censored to the hilt in fear, you know?
No, but you can still do it. No, like I'm actually have a
I
friend
can
who's
do
for
it, but it
because
won't
no,
go
I have
anywhere.
a friend. I have a friend. She doesn't care because I'll tell you why she doesn't care later. But the thing is that, for example, what is wrong with having rules? Amend the Succession Act, whereby only people born in the United Kingdom and residing, not because there's a difference between domicile and residence.
Yeah.
Prince Harry is domiciled in the United Kingdom because that was his place of birth and his father is from there. So he's domiciled in the United Kingdom, even though he doesn't reside there. You need to go to a trial and renounce your domicile. I learned that the different ways, because if you look, in order to be a counselor of state that he is, it says not to be a resident, but he has to be domiciled. And people think that domicile and residence is the same thing. It's not. Okay. So Harry, this is why Harry keeps saying the UK is my home. And this is why I was a little bit wary when the, in the recent trial that he came for his security for the 100th time, the QC for the government said it was the first time that a royal stepped down and is spending most of his time abroad. He didn't say he's residing abroad, which is what Harry's doing. Harry's not spending most of his time abroad. He lives in the United States of America. He's a resident of the United States of America. His alleged daughter was born in the United States of America. What do you mean he's spending most of the time abroad?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you travel, when you're a Canadian, for example, there's a lot of Canadians that go to Florida, right? And they go spend half the year there. They have to count the amount of days that they're out of the country, because they have to be very careful, because even by 1 hour or 6 hours, I forget what the rule is, they can lose all of their medical coverage, right?
Yeah.
Just by staying out of the country 1 extra day. Right. And yet this guy is able to, and who knows what he's doing, to be able to hold his status. So, you know, he's above the law. He's above what everybody else is doing, above the rules. And I do think that if you want something in life, maybe it's to be a doctor or to be a lawyer or whatever, and I'm using those specifically because there is a entrance. You have to have a university degree, you have to do a medical degree, you have to write a medical exam, you have to do, and then that, therefore you get the prize. So if you want to be in the royal family line of succession, you need to show up in these things. You've got to do certain things to be able to qualify. You can't just keep changing the rules.
Mm-hmm.
No, but this is what I mean, that there should be an amendment to the Succession Act. At this point, it's just a joke. And it should say, because you see, it is a constitutional monarchy. So Parliament has a lot of power over how the monarchy acts or behaves or does. They can take away all of the king's powers and say, we are going to decide how you're going to be a royal, because it is a constitutional monarchy. So they can amend the Succession Act by saying only children born in the United Kingdom and royals permanently residing in the United Kingdom can be in the line of succession. What is wrong with saying that? What
You know
is
what's
wrong
wrong
with
with
saying
saying that?
that is
I'll tell you what's wrong with saying that is people are going to say that's racist. You now are saying, and it's like, no, It's
Why
just
would
a
that be
procedure.
racist? I mean, you don't see the
That's what
Japanese
she
royal
will
family
say.
doing that, the Dubai royal family doing that. The Swedish, do you know that the Swedes, you have to reside there in order to be there? You have to be a resident and be born. You can, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That it's called
No,
rules. If
it's the
you're a
rule.
if you have been convicted of being robbing a bank, you cannot be the chief financial officer of an institution. There are rules, and the rules are there to keep an organization above reproach, transparent, respected, prestigious. Right
But
now,
then
the
here's
royal
the
family is not
thing.
prestigious anymore.
You say about a constitutional monarchy and the government have got power. Right now, King Charles is dancing to the government's tune politically and doing everything they need him to do. So the governments are not going to intervene and mess with King Charles's life in enforcing that, are they? Like, they're all looking after themselves. That's how I see it, anyway.
I see it the other way around because Charles has always been which I'm gonna call it very political and very political. Remember the spider letters that finally the newspapers fought for years, and they went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they managed to show the letters up to 2015. They used to call them the black spider letters because the way he wrote in black ink, and it was like a spider handwriting, you know. And he would write constantly, even though he wasn't the head of state, trying to interfere in policies. We know that when the Queen hosted as a head of state, the Chinese president, Charles, in protest, did not show up at the state banquet and instead hosted the Dalai Lama, you know?
Mhm.
So he was creating frictions already because how can the future king be hosting the Dalai Lama down the road while when he should have been with it. So he's always been like that, and he said he has always been like, I want to be the defender of all faiths. I'm sorry, sir, my Pope died today. We're already looking for our next defender of our faith. You're not it.
Yeah.
An adulterous man with zero beliefs who cannot defend his own faith is not going to be the defender of mine. And I'm
Totally.
sorry, that's the way I look at it.
No, I'm just saying right now we've got a government in situ in which corresponds all told in everything he is. So they're together, aren't they? And whatever we're seeing, it's everything our government is. That's coming through our king. So I'm losing faith by the day in that.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And
But
I think that's why the queen. Well, the queen was going to die in the throne, and people don't understand that we're not. Why Charles doesn't put the country first. Charles is putting his what he wants first, his beliefs first.
hmm
He's not
Yeah,
putting.
because he lived not 70 years of his life like that. He basically kept trying to be relevant. He was in his mom's shadow. And therefore, I think he built this other life and career for himself. Now he's got the top job, and he can't migrate and do that role now because he's been doing whatever his whim, his what he want. He's actually mismatched for the job. I mean,
yeah.
I think that he's
Well,
he's still he's still yeah, he's still being petulant.
Yeah.
that he had to rally. That he had to rally, and because they didn't. That it's parliament. That when the monarch dies, it doesn't automatically go to the next in line. It is the parliament has to offer it. There's already You can even go to the royal website and you will see that it's been done twice already. And rather than giving it to the next in line, they gave it to Mary, for example, who was married to, and I mean, so this is why he can't proclaim himself the king. The parliament has to offer him the thing, and parliament was seriously thinking of giving it to William,
Should have.
you know but he rallied and did all kinds of compromises and stuff like that he wasn't going to interfere. He promised that, yeah, he knew he had been political, but that as a king he was going to stop, and that he was going to be the defender of the faith. And what is the first thing he said in coronation? That he was going to be the defender of all faiths. No, no, like, you're not. But I just wanted you guys to watch this because this made me cry. I don't know if you guys remember Captain Tom Moore when the queen knighted him
hmm
during the
Yeah.
pandemic because he raised so many millions. I cried. I was in Norway. Let me show you guys.
Who walked his way into the hearts of a nation at one of its darkest hours There was another walk today for Captain Tom Moore to take.
Didn't everybody gets the chance to see the Queen, is it?
He can be forgiven for accepting a ride, family in tow, and humor intact.
I don't. If I kneel down, I'll never get up again.
Nothing more complicated.
Yeah. Amen.
And soon he was in the courtyard at Windsor Castle, waiting for the Queen, sometimes a little impatiently. When she arrived, it was the most tentative and touching of meetings. Two guardians of a bygone era who offered Britons hope during the COVID-19 lockdown. But this was Captain Tom's day, now Sir Tom. Moore raised millions of pounds for Britain's National Health Service when it was struggling under the weight of the coronavirus, with one of the highest.
I love that. I really loved it. I was crying. I remember when I was watching, I kept replaying it because it's like the Queen. It's like that was what the spirit was. Nowadays you don't have people like that anymore, do we?
No.
Oh, we have to consider people's feelings. It's like
And that's what I'm saying. With Charles being so mismatched for the job, you're going to quickly lose more and more people in that spirit. So then where does that leave the monarchy? The sooner I think William and Catherine are the only ones who can save the monarchy. With a younger generation coming up, they're the only ones I have confidence in, shall I say, right now, sadly.
And what people forget too is that Princess Diana was a monarchist. And she
Absolutely.
truly believed in tradition. She truly believed in the order of things. I mean, this was a woman who took the role seriously. Princess Diana, I think, other than Princess Anne, was the second hardest working woman. And what Princess Anne, God bless her soul, I love her. But what she fails to see is that by her dressing down, nobody wants to show up to see what she's wearing because she's always wearing the same dowdy clothes. So this is one of the things that Princess Diana used as a tool. I'm going to show up fabulous because I know they will want to see what I'm wearing, but they're going to show up. I don't care if they talk about my clothes, but they're going to show up. And at the same time, they're going to talk about the cause I want them to talk about.
Yeah.
You see, but if you would show up with jeans and stuff like that, oh, okay, she's showing up jeans. Do you remember when Catherine showed up with that gold dress?
Yes.
Can you imagine? Okay, I know this is going to sound stupid. Can you imagine if she had shown up at a charity gala for children's or whatever wearing that dress? We would still be talking about the dress, but we would be still talking about the charity gala, and people would have wanted to donate it to that. Or for the Earth shot when she showed up with that beautiful green dress, and it's like those beautiful emeralds, like people. I'm sorry, but that's fact. People love beautiful women, and they will donate. You know what I mean? It's
But
a
then I think I do believe it's a balancing act, because even if it would have got the headlines if she turned up at a children's charity in that gold dress, those headlines could veer off into a dark nature of the gross, the over the top. We as a society, we've changed, and no one wants to. They're trying to balance that as well. You're trying to balance the traditions of the old, the wow of the monarchy, but an endless pot now of poverty everywhere you look. So it's a danger. It's like they're spinning plates, the royal
Yeah, but at
family.
the same time, you see Princess Diana single-handedly brought a lot of commerce back to the United Kingdom because of
Absolutely.
how beautiful she was, and everybody the United Kingdom became so popular and everybody wanted to see her buy the stuff that she wore. She raised the industry, the UK industry, that is very much needed. Can you imagine if Catherine shows up with a fabulous dress with, like, I mean, dripping in jewels? Because that's what people want to see. They want to see, I know we're poor, but we want to see somebody rich. Like we want to see, I'm serious. You
You
want
want
to
a
see
sense
a
of occasion,
princess.
right?
You want to see a princess. That is a dream. You want to see a princess. It's like, and this is the thing that Princess Diana had. Like, she had that, I don't know, that it thing, and she understood. Yeah, clothes are great. And I know that as long as I keep them on my toes and I look fabulous, they're gonna show up. This is why they don't show up for Princess Anne's, and I adore Princess Anne. But Princess Anne never changes. Her clothes are the same. So
Oh,
can you imagine if she showed up with fabulous, outrageous clothes and covered in jewels at the Red Cross event? And it'd be
go
fantastic.
big or go home, right? Go big or go home.
Exactly. Yeah, no, but I'm
Princess
serious.
Anne though, I feel like she brings her own little bit of, she is the She-Ra. If we quote what Meghan said about, the rebel princess, the She-Ra, like that's Princess Anne. She'd get on a horse. She is like the one for people to aspire to be as in strength, and I'm unapologetically me, and this is why different characters bring, but both with Diana and Catherine, yes, the clothes are amazing and stunning, they wear them so well, but it's the person in that outfit. If that person shows an ugly heart, that dress means nothing. It's the fact Diana was stood there in that outfit holding that baby with AIDS. It's the fact Catherine will walk into a hospital and be sat on a chair, and it's like the only person in that room is her and the person she's speaking to. It's that carries through, and the clothes are just a beautiful add-on.
Yeah, yeah, but also, they're beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, Princess Diana, it's just like Catherine. She could put a sack of potatoes on, and the sack of potatoes look fantastic. Everybody would want to go and see where that sack of potatoes came from, and they would want to buy it, me included.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Megan makes the most beautiful dresses look the cheapest. I have never
Yeah.
seen a woman who ruins luxury brands. This is why none of the brands want her to.
It's an
They don't
art.
want her to wear those brands
It's a
to any of
talent
the.
she
They don't
has.
feature her. Have you noticed how they don't feature when Catherine wears something of theirs? They immediately put it on their website. When Megan wears something, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, there goes our business.
But this is what she's consistent at. just getting it wrong in every walk that she does, whether it's a pap shot, whether it's chasing ducklings down the road. It's just a calamity. But then I question, is that just because I've seen her do so wrong? I can't respect this woman, so I'm not enjoying the outfit she's wearing. And is it more than just the outfit? It's the person in that outfit.
Yeah,
It
but
goes to
also it
show, to
doesn't
me, it
look
goes
good.
to show how disliked or how the people around her, either she's really doesn't listen to anybody, or she truly is isolated, because anybody with even with a lot less money or connection can get a stylist, can get a PR person, can get somebody who really looks up for your best interests and guides you and saves you from yourself. She literally has no friends that will do that for her. That says something, because you can see people who are in different stations. Their husband, for example, just gets elected to parliament or something, and all of a sudden the wife shows up and she already knows how to dress and act. Why? Because people around you create that.
Yeah.
I see it all the time in my business too. You can get a stylist. You can even do them easily. The fact that she defies all of that either shows, one, she doesn't listen and she's got her own, she likes the negative, or two, she's truly isolated and nobody really wants to give her the right connections
Advice.
or the right information. Something's
Well,
going on there for sure,
no,
though.
she just doesn't
Yeah,
listen.
there's
I
something
know. I think
definitely
she has
amiss.
people. She just doesn't listen because she thinks she knows it all. Nobody tells her. She's an expert on everything. She's an expert on kitchen. She's an expert on everything. That's the problem with people like her or Harry, that they have never. I mean, Megan has to listen. When she was in Suits, she had to listen because she was a minor role and she had to dress in a certain way because it was the Suits cast.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
when she goes above these people, then she no longer has to listen to them. She only listens to them because she has no option. But right now she feels she's in that position of power that nobody can tell her what to do, what to wear. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's refusing it.
So,
It's just amazing.
so and people say, well, when she was in school, she dressed great, but then she had to be dressed like that because she wanted to keep that job, and they had to, so she had to wear what they told her to wear.
Mm.
And I'm sure I'm sure they were telling her what to wear back then. I don't think they just told her to do whatever you want, but something happened along the way.
Yeah.
Well, you told me that there's an assistant that, and she said that she was a nightmare, right?
Absolute nightmare. I also have another friend who used to go to barbecues with her. She was invited to a few barbecues and said that when she would walk in the room, it would literally be like something, the negativity would grow so much. Like you could tell when she was in or out of a room because there was so much negativity that she would bring in. She would suck the energy out of the room and bring everybody's spirits down.
Yeah.
Did
They
she
use
ever?
other words that I'm not going to use on this
Uh,
platform, but
that's when I think that's when Prince Philip died. That what a sad thing, or was Remembrance Day, but I think it was when Prince Philip died. That's the guy that the Queen wanted to give Meghan Markle to help her. That's her first speech.
And she
I
was so young to take that on in an era where it really was a woman, queen, what, you know? So
Yeah.
she worked hard to, and like grown men were crying the day she died. Grown men, you see David Beckham by that coffin, and all the men in the queued up for hours upon end to say, and that's because she earned that respect. She dug deep and she worked hard and she remained consistent.
Which makes me want to puke every time I think that Meghan Markle was around the
Yeah.
Queen. I
And
mean,
do you know
yeah.
the
what?
lack of
Do you
respect,
know?
and the stanky smell of this woman, those cheap weaves,
Do
ah,
you, do you know what I find really sad if it's an actual thing? Because we watched the Queen stand by her, the royalty, the tradition. Margaret, no, you can't marry him. He was a married man. Charles and Camilla, we watched her. What would the Queen do opposed to what would I do? If there was a moment of weakness in love for her grandson, in Harry, in you know what, okay, it didn't work that way, it hurt my family, I'm going to do what I would do in this moment. Yes, you can marry Meghan. And if there was a moment of weakness in her heart for her love of her grandson, and then she had that happen to her, where they've done this, and that's really fucking sad. That's what makes me angry, you know.
well, the thing is that I think that she did give authorization for him to marry her, but she didn't think it was going to be in 2018. She assumed it would be in 2019 because they already had one royal wedding, which was Eugenie's. Remember that it had to be pushed all of the sudden down all the way to October. And that is the reason why I think it happened that way is, and I've always said it, that time was Meghan Markle's enemy because it was just a matter of time before people found out about her. Because
Absolutely.
was,
Absolutely.
people, Manuela, I've always said that Meghan
Yeah.
Markle knew she was racing against the clock because it was
Yeah.
only so long that the racist narrative could work.
Yeah.
So,
She had to
and I
close the
believe,
deal.
yeah, I believe that she said she was pregnant because it was so weird the way they moved out down that wedding. They used that church and they used the same route and everything because when you have royal weddings and you do royal events, they do preparations for security months in advance, guys. Okay, so remember that Meghan and Harry announced their engagement on, I think, November 20, at the end of November, and then they're married in May when
Mm-hmm.
it was supposed to be Eugenie. So this is why they used that church. This is why they use that route and everything because they already had the security for that.
Yeah.
You see, and I fully believe that the Queen thought, okay, 2019, I give my permission for, and I'm pretty sure that we have a whole year to plan because we have Eugenie's wedding coming, and the excuse they gave, oh, it's because Harry is the order of precedence. That is not true. That is not true at all. They always have these excuses that make no sense because Eugenie's wedding had been already announced months in advance from the time she got engaged and everything. They gave the date, they gave everything. They had sent the invitations. They had to re-invite everybody. And knowing how the Queen is, that she's proper with everything, it would have made sense. Okay, you can marry afterwards, like in September or December or October. We go through with Eugenie's wedding in May, and then, you marry in October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But she must have moved it because they didn't want a scandal. They didn't want anything else. Because allegedly,
I really do
so
think
they
she
moved
used
it.
the pregnancy card. I've always said that because it never made any sense. And when they give those bogus excuses, You're
I
telling
agree.
me the weddings are planned months in advance, guys. You know,
Absolutely.
and then like big and
Minimum a year, and that's for us mere
yeah,
mortals.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
You know?
remember Andrew's wedding, Sophie's wedding. I mean, because of course you invite very important people. They have to take into consideration security, all kinds of things, guys. All
Mm.
kinds of things have to be. And this is the second son of the king, and you know what's so funny? Megan didn't have that very. She didn't have anybody invited. Only the Clooney's who now shun their backs on them. So in a way, I do think that the queen from behind the grave is telling Harry a big "I told you so, buddy." I
No,
really,
I've always
I really
I
do think
told you
that.
so, yeah.
I've always been a great believer in the truth will always prevail. And the fact we speak like this now, and so many people feel the way we do. In the fact Meghan Markle thinks that her putting a picture of her coming out of a swamp barefoot in the rugged wasteland to watch some ducks come after her, the fact that she just thinks that's gonna fix this, that she's gonna undo all we've seen, and we're just she can gaslight us that she's this lovely, kind woman when we've seen all the damage rolled out at her words and hands is just phenomenal. It's just like, oh my God, this magical fantasy world of fake belief really is. It's delusional.
I
Yeah.
think she doesn't want people to connect the dots. That's why she has to be in another country, in another town, talking to people who don't really know. So
Yeah.
no one can connect the dots with her. It's like when people want to start fresh and they move, they change jobs or change countries, right? I think she's doing that too. But this is why talking about it is so important and us connecting the dots, because we're trying to protect the integrity of what our traditions and what we grew up with, and also the truth and
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Look at Princess
But you
Diana.
hear it,
Fabulous.
sorry. You hear it with that preeclampsia in her podcast, and her mate says she's got it. Megan doesn't give an example or anything. She just echoes, literally repeats the words that her friends saying. Like there's no core of truth. She literally just mirrors a reaction to literally what that person's just said. I can't even believe that people listen to this and believe it. You know, it's just it boggles my mind that anyone can look at Meghan Markle like she's a princess, like she's kind, she's good. I can't. Like just, the tone of the voice is a narcissist sort of tone, you know, and the sickly sweet. It's so obvious.
No, but the queen, I do believe that the queen is telling them, I think that the queen is telling Harry, I told you so, should have taken your time. It was too hurried. I do believe that when she gave permission, she really thought it was going to be in a year's time. She never thought it would be that quick. And she probably said, yeah, and she said, I guess I should say yes. That's because Harry said that too. That she said, so I guess I'm supposed to say yes. So it's
Yeah.
not like, "Oh, yes, I'm happy." No, 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 no. So, but it's something very interesting to me.
I am sure the Queen didn't realize that Harry was that weak or that unhappy or that easily manipulated, because this has to be like this was just too easy. It's like taking candy from a baby, really, when she walked in and what she's done. She's like mesmerized it so quickly that I'm sure that she must have thought he had much more backbone, or that he would be at least defending his family, his position, but he's not. He's caving into all of this mess.
But like you look at his relationships at that point, just before Meghan stepped in with William, Catherine, this trio before us, two
Yeah.
brothers doing the races down the track. How would anyone perceive that could be a possibility from Harry? You know, and that's why it's been such a global story, because the world are in shock that he could go to these lengths of betrayal.
I think it's always been this is but then again, and this is what I told you at the beginning. He's always been like this. It's just that Buckingham Palace managed to sell an image of a man that didn't exist. And this
Mm-hmm.
is why people are having such a hard time letting go of that image, because they did it for pretty much up until Harry was 36 years of age.
Yeah.
So you for 36 years they have been selling you an image of a man that didn't exist. So
But
it's hard for people to let go and understand that this man was a traitor, is a liar. It's didn't have any moral standing. He's just, like, he's a traitor. This is a
Like
man
he's
who,
literally biting the hand that feeds him. Like he literally did that. Like he literally went back on everything that he was built on. All the gifts that were bestowed upon him and the privileged life he had. He turned around and now he's a victim and now all of this stuff. And it's like, it's bizarre. Like you would be, and any if a family member did that, you'd be like, what do you, were we
What?
not in the same family? We were not doing the same stuff. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy.
That last picture of the Queen by that fireplace, and we all looked at it, and she was
Oh,
so skinny. She was the bruised hands, and we all knew. We all knew at that point that it wouldn't be long, and I think that's why they released it to sort of prepare the people ready. But yet Harry and Meghan are preparing to do all they're about to do, and that didn't intervene in their minds, and they would have known as well. And you
they
just
knew
can't
more than what we
even.
knew.
Yeah, it felt like we felt that more than our own grandson. That like we got
well,
it.
the
And
queen invited him to come and see her the Wednesday before she died.
Yep.
But she asked him to come alone because she wanted to talk to him. Because she didn't ask Megan, then Harry didn't go. But the thing is that you know what? I don't know why people are surprised. If you look at all interviews with Harry on his own, without being supervised or the people there, he says that he doesn't like England.
Mhm.
He said it in quite a few interviews when he wasn't being supervised. Oh, I don't like England. I don't like England. Because there's the one interview that I actually showed of him that he decided to spend Christmas in Afghanistan, right? When they deployed him. But it wasn't that day he went there or he decided it. It's because this was in 2012 because of the scandal of Vegas, the scandal with the girl in Verbier, the underage girl. So they decided to deploy him in December because they knew that this scandal was about to break. Right, but when they asked him, he says, "I'd much rather be here than." And because the guy Tom Bradby actually asked him, "Don't you miss your family?" He goes, "No, I'm having the time of my life here. I'm eating goat curry, I'm here." I mean, this was his idea of being deployed in Afghanistan, eating goat curry, playing with the Gurkhas, I think they're called, and having
Video game.
fantastic games. Like no soldier. I do lives with Matt the Angry Butnik, and he can tell you that. When you're deployed, you didn't think, "Oh, I'm going to go eat goat curry," or I'm going to be playing, and we play fantastic football games. I mean, no, I mean they never play fantastic football. They were tired. They were, like they were patrolling. They were fighting. They were killing. I mean, it's not like he says. I don't know which army he went to, but it wasn't the one that we went to.
Hmm. Yeah.
So he said it many times. So the palace knew. It's like he said in his latest court case, and I talked about this, that when he did his gap year in Australia, he had his bodyguards. Later on, he found out, because he said it during the trial against the newspapers, that the Queen had sent four of her most senior and trusted advisors to supervise in case of any media. But he thought that he's so self-involved that he thought it was in case the media was chasing him. No, in case he made a scandal, they'd be able to control the media around that scandal, whatever he made.
Hmm.
Harry reminds me of those, when you hear those stories of those 40-year-old sons that live in the basement and they still live at home and they've amounted to nothing, and they're playing video games and they can't get a job and they're
Yes.
very ungrateful and disrespectful. I mean, it
Yes.
just seems like just the royal version of that.
Hmm.
This really makes me angry because you see, Prince Philip was a military man.
Yep.
Prince Philip was a military man. Here, let me show you guys. And he deserved that they all wore military outfits, but because neither Andrew nor Harry could wear them, then everybody had to wear just regular suits and just the medals. I found that incredibly disrespectful, just to appease two idiots who bring disrepute to the kingdom. And this is the thing that we have, that they shouldn't have done that. That you cannot wear the military uniforms, then don't wear them. You dishonor them.
Hmm.
Although, in Andrew's defense, he was a true war hero. He
Yep.
put himself out there as bait. I don't see Harry putting himself out there as bait, flying that helicopter alone. So, they would fire at him. So the soldiers on the ground, would advance because he would be that distraction. That I will give Andrew. That I will give
Mm,
Andrew.
mm.
So, but that,
You know,
yeah, I mean,
Philip's humor, like it was beautiful. I
I cried
thought
so
it
much
was
with this one.
it. I
I
think
really
because it
cried.
was smaller than like the Queen's was just so big and so tragic, and it was. But I found Philip's funeral, it was stunningly perfect for him and
Mhm.
personal, and
Oh my God, that breaks.
so Prince Philip could read a room.
That
He
hurt.
understood. He was the one who said to the Queen, you need to be reachable to the people, and that's when they started opening garden parties and inviting people in. So it kept the magic going. Otherwise it was a segregated rich poor divide kind of thing. Philip understood what you needed to do, and he was a great advisor to his wife, our Queen. And I think the minute we watched Philip die, that our hearts just broke for her as well, because he was her strength and stay, truly.
Yeah. Look at her,
Truly.
how lonely during COVID. That was so cruel.
Oh, yet meanwhile, this is happening. We were watching that, and the backdrop was Harry and Meghan. The headlines, they took over the Queen's passing, really. Every headline of everything that happened through Philip dying, through the Queen dying, was a backdrop. Will Harry and Meghan be there? They took over that. They took that away from the people.
Yeah, because they needed to put the flowers. They needed
Yeah.
people to know that the
Yes.
flowers
Yeah.
were there. Everybody was so angry.
Hmm.
I mean, it is disgusting, but I do believe, part of me at least, I want to believe that the Queen, this is a big, I told you so, Harry, because, he's made a mess of his life out of spite, out of,
Hmm.
like the things that he has done. Oh, look at Princess Diana, like out of spite, out of everything. Um, she has always been an inspiration. I thought that, she was an icon,
She
and
was.
just,
He was.
amazing. And I really don't think, other than what you might call it, when Princess Diana died, I remember that. Where are you guys? When Princess Diana died, I remember that. That was horrible. The Queen brought the boys there, and yeah, and Harry has been using, "Oh, I walk behind my shopping cart" for ages now, to get
Hmm.
away with things,
Yeah. And the
you
thing
know.
is, I said it before, my friend went out one day. She got knocked over by a drink driver. Well, smashed into her. She died, left three boys, all under the age of 17, with no mom. Same scenario, but completely different, because everyone's mom is their hero, right? So they experience that grief. But they also watch their dad and the whole community have to do charity fundraisers to pay for her funeral. To with people, run of the mill people, when they go through a loss like that, their grief gets hijacked with, how can I afford this? How can I then feeling a failure? Harry didn't have any of this. I'm not taking away his loss and his grief, but he had a different being in the fact that the funeral was there. There was no, it's this happens to people all the time, and they have to find their own way. They have to find their own healing. We've
That was
watched
the last
William go
picture of
through the same.
that was
Yeah.
the last picture of Her Majesty, the Queen.
I
And
know.
I
That's
think
such a sad one.
I think they knew what they were doing with that picture. They were letting the people know and preparing them.
But also because she
Showed
wanted
up.
the people to know that she was okay for some reason,
Yeah.
because she always said you have to be seen to be believed. And I think she wanted to reassure people that she was okay, and that she was doing her duty. I really do think that this was an Iron Lady, if there was ever one. With her little smile, with her little sweater. Look how beautiful. I love her in yellow always. Always love her in yellow.
And
She's
right now, currently where we are in the world, I wish you could speak to us from beyond the grave. I want to hear what
Maybe she
I need.
is.
Like we need some unity. We need the Queen, and it's like she's not there, and we've got Where is it all? I honestly believe now, and people said this at the start, she held on for as long as she could because she knew.
Yeah. Yeah, she's so beautiful, I liked her. And I know people say, I think that her flaws were her kids, that she allowed them to get away with too much. And that's the only flaw. But then there were her kids, but at the same time, um,
We
you
can all
know,
relate to that though, that mom guilt, that
yeah,
parent guilt.
yeah,
Even me going to work in the holidays, and whilst her life was absorbed with being the queen. So you try and make up in different ways, right?
yeah. No,
It's
I
tragic.
agree. I agree. But I'm just saying, like for me, I think that Parliament should have given the throne to William. I think that the monarchy would be so popular if that had happened. We wouldn't be in the mess we're in. And he's young enough, and his wife is beautiful enough. His children are old enough now, they're all in school. He's had time to spend time with them growing. I love this one. I love this one when her horse won. I
Yeah.
remember this one. She was like completely. I loved her. I loved her when she won her horse one. That was so cool. That's
Do
the
you know
guy
what
who.
I loved about the
Passion
Queen?
and purpose.
Look at that.
Eh?
I love it. Oh,
I loved about the Queen, you had that sense of British sense of humour with Philip as well. That
Yeah.
you take the mick out of yourself. And even if I go there with Charles and going on about his sausage fingers, it's something to be able to take the mick out of yourself than others around you, and it's just that whole British sense of humour, culture, I suppose, and you got that really thick and strong with Philip and the Queen. And we're losing that now. It's gone.
and I mean, we have to laugh a little bit. I just want to show you something, guys, because I mean, I have to be a little bit petty Betty here because I really do believe that the Queen is truly enjoying this. This is Meghan Markle, the world's most untalented and contrived old ham, stages yet another ridiculous video. Just needs her clown manservant to come out of the bushes dressed as Daffy Duck, saying, I just had to, like, oh my goodness, show up for you. Because critics accuse Meghan Markle of staging her Easter because you see, she just doesn't find the eggs. She has to have the ducks actually coming through. Do you know what I mean? I mean, can you
Ridiculous.
imagine? And no wonder this woman is fighting hard um, to the Baldoni thing. This is going to be juicy, guys. Oh, the
Yeah.
Baldoni
Yes,
thing.
yes, that
Oh,
is.
yeah, we have to do one about the Baldoni thing because this is gonna be insane. This is gonna
Yes,
be look
yeah.
at the Queen. There was Mr. Abbey. Yes, of course, our Queen is there. I love her. She would
Mhm.
have been 99. I always said if she had just hung on 2 more years, that
Mhm.
this is Prince William. Look at what a handsome man.
Every critic, I'd be here all day. But criticism drives you forwards.
How do you feel about the criticism homewards since Switzerland?
Well, I think if I answered every critic, I'd be here all day. But criticism drives you forwards.
Mm. Yeah.
Prince William is. I mean, even the way he walks. I mean, that man. That man is GQ material. I think they should. Oh, look at President Trump with the Easter bunny. Yay, how cute. Oh, yeah, this is the guy. This is the one that I was telling you. This is Jake Rosenberg. This is
Yeah.
way
So
back then.
The thing is, though, that POV done a good video on this, and it was only a week ago or so. We see Harry with that Polish lady and doing the photo, and she's like in on him. Then all of a sudden, Meghan Markle releases one where she's doing the exact same, and it does show like a toxic back and forth. You want to do that and humiliate me, so I'm going to put a photo up. I can't even imagine what bile goes on between their pillows at night within their four walls. There's no way that Montecito mansion is a home, in
no.
No,
my
no, no,
opinion.
no, 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 no,
There's
no.
no way
He lives at
anyone
a Camden,
can
Wilshire Boulevard.
function a happy family like this. I see that picture with the ducks and I just see Snow White with all the animals. Like, that's what she's trying to convey. Like, like on the Disney movies where the animals get Cinderella ready for the ball. Like, I just, she's so, And the grossest thing is that as ever brand, the jam, the teas, it's so British.
Yeah. No, I mean it's like I don't know. I just miss the Queen quite a lot, to tell you the truth. Oh, there
I do
goes.
too.
You know what?
Me-
My favorite Pope was Jean. I didn't like the Pope. I didn't like this Pope. I'm sorry. Did you see how he hit this person? Look at that.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. He was not a nice Pope. I'm not gonna say. I'm glad that he's with Jesus. That's all I
Well,
can say.
Frankie's gone now. Now we're gonna
Yeah.
get another one.
My favorite Pope, and I had the pleasure of meeting him, was Jean
Oh,
Paul
wow.
II. And look at Justin Bieber, guys. Justin Bieber, something's wrong with him.
Something's wrong with him.
That
Yes.
boy, I mean, that young
That's
man.
not going to end well.
This is really terrible. What's going on with this guy? Oh my God, that's not going to happen to me. Oh, look at Trump with the bunny. Let's see what he's
One of
saying.
our favorite days. It's one of our favorite periods of time. We're honoring Jesus Christ, and we're going to honor Jesus Christ very powerfully throughout our lives, all throughout our lives, not just now, all throughout our lives. We're bringing religion back in America. We're bringing a lot of things back, but religion is coming back to America. That's why you see the kind of numbers that you're seeing, the spirit and the kind of numbers that you're seeing. So, speaking of special, Easter is special, and it's one of our favorite days. It's one of our favorite periods of time. We're honoring Jesus Christ, and we're going to honor Jesus Christ very powerfully throughout our life.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't Charles do that? It's very easy to do. Talk about Jesus, you know?
But you know what? In the UK, this Easter weekend, we've had a mass turnout to all the churches, people coming to the streets to celebrate Christianity and Easter weekend. So that's been quite powerful. People are claiming back their faith here also.
Yeah. I want to see if we see pictures of, oh, look at them. They're so cute. This is that they said that they're attending. Look at them. Aren't they beautiful? I mean, that's what we want to see. I mean, oh, look at them both. Oh,
I love the way Catherine colour blocks the outfits with the family. I just think she's amazing with
yeah,
fashion.
look at that. I think
The,
I think Charles.
the accent colours.
I think William should be king now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this.
Let's
When
just
the
cut to
news
the
spread,
chase. Let's just go there.
it says when news spread that the Royal Highnesses, the Prince and Princess of Wales, were at St. Mary Magdalene Church on the Sandringham Estate, crowd gathered hoping to see William and Catherine and and their family. Imagine the turnout if it had been formally announced. Look at this. They didn't get to see them because they went through the back door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but people found out about it, you know, but this is how popular they are. This is how loved they are. And King William, you know,
And
and
they're also fresh. You know, they're fresh and they're beautiful and they're young. They have like a family. They've got. They seem to be, you know, going the right direction. I mean, I think they have pretty good heads on their shoulders too. They're not very, you know, they're not all about drama and creating attention in a negative way.
Yeah.
yeah, they're just showing how a liar here he was, you know, there with the pictures here, you know.
The monarchy needs them. The monarchy needs them, I believe. The UK people need them.
Who?
The
Harry and
Waleses.
Meghan?
We need them. No, what the Waleses. We don't need
Oh.
Harry and Meghan. They could stay away. We need the Waleses ASAP. Like
Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. And it really bothers me that they call her Kate Middleton. Her name is Princess. You can say the Princess of Wales or Catherine, the Princess of Wales, you know, but I'm sick and tired of people calling her Kate Middleton. Look at this man. This man is king material. There is so much of Princess Diana. You know that he inherited her posture, her presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very much like his mum, the nervous lip bite.
Look how
Which they
beautiful.
share, and George has got it also. I'm just watching William at Aston Villa, celebrating like my husband would and going mental, you know. There's a relaxed tone to him.
This is Charles' idea
This as well.
of the having Andrew, Fergie, because Fergie was like crazy waving to people, by the way, when she got out. You know, this is his idea of having, I mean, Andrew, and they make a point of facing the camera. Look, there's Fergie. You know, it's like, what is she even doing there? It was the York's uh, uh, news Easter, whatever the hell you want to call it. I can't stand them. I'm sorry. And
I hate
that there's a
to
book coming
cut
out.
it short. I'm going to have to go. I have to go onto a call, but this has
Oh
been
no, me too.
lovely.
We have to go,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to say thank you guys for those of you who
Thank you
joined
so much.
us
Yes.
for coming. Please don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. Go subscribe to Manuela. I'm gonna leave the links for Tina, the aftermath, and Manuela. And Manuela, I use her skin product, guys. The link is always in my video description. I
Me
use
too.
it. You too, right?
Love it. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I am so loving them. My neck is, people think I had something done with my neck. I didn't. It's just her products. It's isomers, and I think Pidina also got it. Let me see. It's right here, guys. I'll show it to you. The prices are amazing. I don't go anywhere without my Botox, liquid Botox, which is, this is the
There's
website.
your link.
And guys, the prices are like, I mean, and you get 20% off. I have a link in my and always I have it permanent on my video description.
Yeah.
But the prices are amazing. It's over one. This I love it because I
Here
know
is
that it
Colin.
happened with me.
Okay,
It's
I'll
And
do
for
it.
happened with
any of
me.
you that have never done skincare, which was me, and I come on the live where Manuela was on here, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to say, I've never done it. I had these products, and I love them. Now it's like my ritual. I sort of like had to force myself. It's so easy. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. It takes about 3 minutes, and you feel amazing. And I'm not even just saying that.
No, I know. I'm so glad about my eyes. I
Yeah,
am so glad about
yeah.
that. I don't know
I'm
what
so
else.
glad
What
about
else
you guys.
No,
I'm so glad that we're
I'm
having
so
this
glad.
time
No,
together.
I'm not wearing makeup, but see, I had like, and you can barely see before I had these all the way down here. Now I have to really, really, and see.
See, and we're our own worst critics. So we like what we see. That's good.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy, especially this
Very
part
happy.
here. I'm
Yeah.
going to show a picture because I don't know if you can see. It's much less. I still have a little bit, but before it was like a turkey neck, like a proper turkey neck. I'm so happy with it. Like I don't know what I'm going to do when I run out of them, but but
Yeah, well,
I got,
you know a guy.
I got a video of when I started, then 8 days later, then 2 weeks later. It's phenomenal.
Now
Yeah, you have to look into
we have
that.
to do one because we're thinking with Pidina to do like a beauty thing, and
Yes.
we're thinking of having Jennifer as a makeup artist, and then you and whoever wants to join us and teach us and stuff about that for women. So thank you
Yes.
very much, guys. Thanks for
Thank
celebrating
you.
the Queen's
Thank
birthday
you.
with us today. She was an amazing woman, and I think she's laughing her ass off watching Harry,
Hope
especially
so.
Meghan, make an idiot. Oh, I'm sure she is. She's like, I told you so. And I think, what a petty man. What I wish there were more women like the Queen. And I think Catherine, the Duchess of Edinburgh, and Princess Anne are an embodiment of the Queen. They represent the values of the Queen family, you know, duty,
Yeah.
you know.
I just can imagine like this picture of Meghan hitting the rounds of chasing the ducks and coming out of the forest. I can imagine Philip being alive and seeing it, and the Queen being sat next to him, going, "Oh, look at her." Do you know what I mean? What's she doing? I think they'd echo the same feeling that we all feel. Like what? So
No,
thank you for
I
having me
know.
on. Paul.
No, I know, but I love it, and I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Tina for coming to celebrate our queen and everything, And we'll see you. We'll see you soon. You have to come more often. I talked to Victoria today. She's gonna start doing. By the way, Victoria's gonna start doing lives next week.
Oh, brilliant.
So we're gonna show up to her for her, of
Yeah.
course. And thank you very much. Don't forget to go and subscribe to the aftermath. I'm gonna leave the link on the video description and to Manuela's and order your products from Manuela. If you buy $100, over $100, shipping is free worldwide. So go get them. I don't know what I was doing before. I'm so happy about my neck.
Do you know what?
This is everything to me. I know,
It's
you know that I told you about. How many times did I tell you that I was like, I want to do this?
you feel it though, and I honestly started doing it, and I did not expect the
Such quick
lift.
results.
My face feels tighter. I don't even rely on as much makeup anymore because I don't want to
No,
mess
because your
with
skin looks
what.
so nice.
Yes,
Well,
yeah.
even my son went to pick up at her house and because she gave him some products, and even Hendrik was like 24 and his skin is tight and nothing. He goes, "Mom, shit, my skin feels tighter than ever." It's like, but you're only 24. How much tighter can it get?
Well, the thing is, I'm in damage control now for the years of not doing a skin routine.
I
I
wish
can
I had
only
done that when I was
imagine
younger. I wish I
if
had
I
done
had
that when I was
started it
younger.
younger.
Yeah, I wish I had done
Oh
that.
my god,
No, I wish
So
I had started younger because then you delay the process,
yeah,
So I
yeah.
was doing that. But thanks
But
anyways,
if it
guys.
can do this, yes, yeah, yeah. Okay,
No,
I'll speak to you soon.
yes, and thank you guys, and have a wonderful day, and have a wonderful rest of Easter. And thank you for joining us and for the super chats and the PayPal donations. And I'll see you tomorrow.